A Walk in the Night, 1967, by Alex Guma is a politically charged novella set in apartheid-era Cape Town, South Africa. As a leading figure in South Africa's anti-apartheid literary movement and a committed Marxist, Guma uses the novella to critique racial injustice, poverty, alienation, and systemic violence. Written in the wake of the oppressive apartheid system and reflecting the brutal lived experiences of the colored and black South African working class, the novella is both a work of social realism and a psychological exploration of oppression's impact on human consciousness. At just over 100 pages, A Walk in the Night is compact yet rich in political, emotional, and symbolic meaning. Guma fuses cinematic prose, realism, and interior monologue to construct a night in the life of a marginalized community, and in doing so, reveals the psychic and social fragmentation wrought by apartheid. Setting: the novella is set in District 6, a real and now destroyed inner-city area of Cape Town, inhabited predominantly by colored, mixed-race people during apartheid. The setting is critical. It reflects urban poverty, racial segregation, and the destruction of communities through discriminatory laws. The events of the story unfold over a single night, capturing a microcosm of broader social dysfunction. Michael Adonis and his walk. The protagonist, Michael Adonis, is a young colored factory worker recently fired from his job by a racist white supervisor. The novella begins with Adonis, disillusioned and angry, walking through the streets of Cape Town in the evening. This walk in the night becomes a metaphor for his inner turmoil, as well as a journey through the injustices and frustrations of apartheid society. Bitter over his dismissal and feeling powerless, Adonis drifts into a state of existential anger. While wandering, he encounters an old man, Mr. Doughty, a white social worker. In a fit of rage and confusion, Adonis pushes the old man during an argument, resulting in the man's accidental death. The crime is neither premeditated nor ideological. It stems from psychological pressure and alienation. Interwoven characters and subplots. While Adonis's story forms the main thread, Guma constructs the novella as an ensemble piece, weaving together the perspectives of several other residents of District 6. Willie Boy, a petty criminal just released from jail, is involved in a subplot involving police harassment. Willie Boy is beaten and killed by police officer Ralt, in a clear depiction of state brutality and racial violence. Ralt, a white policeman, embodies the cruelty and corruption of the apartheid state. His inner thoughts reveal a warped, racist worldview justified by systemic power. Joey, a sensitive and introspective young man, lives in fear and confusion. His character reveals the psychological damage inflicted on youth growing up in violence and poverty. House residents including Uncle Doughty's landlady and other neighbors form the chorus of District 6, witnesses and victims of neglect, crime, and systemic decay. Guma rotates the narrative perspective between these characters, allowing readers to inhabit the mental and emotional landscapes of a community under siege. Climax and ending. The novella climaxes in the overlapping tragedies. Adonis has accidentally committed murder, and Willie Boy is executed by the state for a minor crime. The story does not offer closure or redemption. Instead, it ends with a return to the silence and stillness of the night, emphasizing the ongoing nature of suffering under apartheid. Adonis walks into the darkness, symbolic of his moral confusion and the lack of clear paths for resistance or escape in an oppressive society. The novella's conclusion offers no triumph, only survival, a powerful statement about the conditions of marginalized people under racial capitalism. Major themes. 1. Racial injustice and apartheid. The central theme is the systemic racism of South Africa's apartheid regime. Guma shows how laws, institutions, and everyday interactions are shaped by white supremacy. From Adonis's unfair dismissal to Ralt's murder of Willie Boy, the state's racism is relentless and omnipresent. This injustice is not just physical but psychological. The characters live with internalized depression, fear, anger, and humiliation. Their rage and confusion often turn inward or toward each other, reflecting the fragmented solidarity under oppressive regimes. 2. Poverty, urban decay, and social marginalization. District 6 is depicted as a space of economic desperation and spatial oppression. Buildings are overcrowded and decaying, employment is insecure, crime is rampant. Guma paints a picture of a society where basic human dignity is eroded by poverty. Urban poverty is not incidental, it is produced by structural inequality. The novella critiques capitalism as much as apartheid, showing how economic and racial domination are intertwined. The urban landscape becomes a character itself, claustrophobic, decaying, oppressive. 3. Alienation and psychological trauma. Michael Adonis is a study in alienation. His walk through the night is both literal and metaphorical. He is disconnected from society, his community, and even himself. His violent act is not political, but the result of emotional numbness and displaced anger. Willie Boy's tragic arc also illustrates how the state criminalizes and discards the poor. Joey's quiet introspection shows a mind unraveling under constant fear and insecurity. These characters are not villains, they are victims of a system that denies them identity, agency, and belonging. 4. Power, policing, and violence. Police officer Ralt is a chilling embodiment of state-sanctioned violence. His assault on Willie Boy is racially motivated and entirely without remorse. Guma critiques the police not as flawed individuals but as tools of a violent system. Violence in the novella is cyclical. Systemic violence, police brutality, unemployment, leads to social violence, theft, murder, which is then used to justify more repression. The novella underscores the moral degradation inherent in the system, affecting both oppressor and oppressed. 5. Human dignity and collective struggle. Despite the bleakness, the novella affirms the humanity of its characters. Their longing for love, stability, and dignity remains visible, even under duress. The communal bonds between neighbors, their small acts of care and resistance, suggest that solidarity, though fractured, is not extinguished. Guma suggests that the possibility of liberation lies not in individual heroism but in collective recognition of shared suffering and injustice. Narrative technique and style. 1. Multiple perspectives. Guma employs a multi-perspectival narrative structure, moving between third-person limited viewpoints. This polyphonic technique allows the reader to enter the consciousness of different characters, revealing the shared and divergent experiences of life under apartheid. This narrative structure also mimics the chaos and fragmentation of the city. No single story can capture the whole. The result is a tapestry of intersecting lives and systemic conditions. 2. Cinematic prose and realism. The novella is written in a cinematic style, with vivid description, sharp dialogue, and shifting scenes. Guma captures the gritty realism of the streets, smells, sounds, dim lighting, oppressive heat. This realism is essential. It anchors the political message in lived experience. The novella does not preach, it shows. By immersing the reader in the character's environment, Guma evokes empathy and understanding. 3. Interior monologue and psychological depth. Characters like Adonis and Joey are given deep interior monologues. Their thoughts, memories, and confusions unfold in stream of consciousness style. This technique humanizes them and conveys the psychic cost of oppression, guilt, fear, self-hatred, and longing. Guma avoids simplistic portrayals. Even when characters commit violent acts, their motives are understood within a larger system of alienation. Symbolism. The night symbolizes confusion, oppression, and moral ambiguity. It envelops the characters just as apartheid engulfs their lives. The walk. Adonis's walk is symbolic of existential searching and displacement. It is aimless, reflecting a lack of purpose imposed by the system. District 6 represents the broader condition of apartheid South Africa, a site of resilience and repression, history and erasure. Historical and political context. Published in 1967, A Walk in the Night reflects the intensification of apartheid policies in South Africa. Guma himself was imprisoned, banned, and exiled for his political activism. His writing is an act of resistance, documenting the reality that the apartheid regime sought to erase. District 6, where the story is set, was declared a whites-only area in 1966 under the Group Areas Act, and thousands were forcibly removed. The novella stands as a literary memorial to the people and culture destroyed by apartheid urban planning. Critical reception and legacy. A Walk in the Night has been hailed as a classic of resistance literature, admired for its stylistic economy, political depth, and empathetic characterizations. It is one of the most widely studied South African novellas and remains a touchstone for post-colonial and urban literature. Guma's blending of realism with radical critique paved the way for writers like Zakes Mda, Nadine Gordimer, and Nyabulo Debele. His work continues to resonate in contexts of social injustice worldwide. Conclusion. Alex Guma's A Walk in the Night is a masterful exploration of the psychological and social consequences of racial and economic oppression. Through its interwoven narratives, richly drawn characters, and symbolic nightscape, the novella presents a haunting portrait of a community stifled by injustice yet holding onto the threads of dignity and humanity. Guma doesn't offer easy answers or heroic triumphs. Instead, he offers truth, unflinching, painful, and essential. In doing so, he affirms the power of literature as witness, resistance, and memory.